All right, folks, we are live. Good morning and welcome on back here for all of us joining us inside our live trading room. All of us joining us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works this Monday, July 3rd, pre-4th July. Happy 4th, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. Joining us inside our live trading room today, we have Mark, Michael, Grant, have Sam, Barbara, Patrick, later just before I saw Kathleen chatting with just earlier. A couple of us doing pretty well on a few trades early this morning here. Great to have Felix with us and Tony on top. So there we go. So, hey, folks, we have a lot to dig into, even though housekeeping note number one, today's a half day, actually. Last couple of years, we didn't really have this just with the way the calendar year broke down. But today, July 3rd, is a half day where the markets are closed at 1 p.m. Eastern time today. So we'll do our normal audio broadcast inside our live trading room. Then from there, we'll take a small break. Rich will be on at 12 o'clock to do a very tiny meeting. Then he'll wrap things up basically like all in one, just between a meeting plus audio into the final hour. So once again, at 1 p.m. Eastern time, equities markets close up. So that's where we finish up across the day for Tony, Michael, etc. in Cyber Group. Now, just really quickly, we'll be back on Wednesday for tomorrow. That's Traders Talk, right? For all of us inside our live trading room, that's our weekly Q&A workshop that we normally do on Tuesdays. We'll look to do that on Wednesday. All right. So a little housekeeping note there on top. On Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern time, what is normally Tuesday for Traders Talk will be pushed just a day later. So I'll tell you, it's going to be a slow market anyway coming off 4th July. So it'll be a good time to kind of just sit back, observe anyway. Now with that, I mean, hey, a couple of trades that we did well on early this morning, Rivian being one of them. So RIVN came out with some news overnight this morning. I think Tesla was the one overnight, right? So at first, the EV companies in general were trading higher in sympathy with Tesla, which reported strong Q2 delivery numbers. But then on top of that, Rivian released their own numbers. So if I can get my words straight here, they released their Q2 production figures, and they set a date for Q2 2023 results on August 8th. The company produced just about 14,000 vehicles at its manufacturing facility in Normal, Illinois, and delivered about 12,500 plus vehicles during the same period, on track to deliver 50,000 annual. So I'm sure that's better and bigger from last year. I saw some note on Tesla from year over year with how many of their cars that they had delivered, over time. Pretty crazy. Like when they first started, you see like the number, it was like 4 vehicles they delivered. Now it's like, God knows how many. I think it was like 200 plus thousand vehicles per year now that they're delivering to its customers. Hey, for the meantime, nothing better to follow than level 3 and level 4. So with that, we had an iceberg at $18 for about 40,000 shares at first. Looks like they may have pulled some of their volume at first at some point, but ended up seeing this begin to build back up. We had a nice iceberg join the bid for about 48,000. So that's what led this to make the higher high. Strong trade here heading into the market open. Now at this point, you'd want to see 18, if not 18, maybe like a 17.95. Hold as support. You'd really want to see this look to hold going into the open for this to be a stronger trade. That's not to say it can't break over 18 again when the opening bell hits. But, again, just for a half day, I mean, hey, honestly, this was looking so good. Every second counts at this point. So, hey, we're going to put this on our watch list. Looks really good and hopefully does continue. Hopefully does look to break back above 18, at least flip that into support. Now, though, what we'll really just do is go from top to bottom. The PLM was the other stock that we did pretty well on this morning. It was a little wishy-washy at first, but, when nothing else was really moving before Rivian came out with its news, this was beginning to go sideways. But to go back on, I don't know if I have this up on my, I do, okay, good. I didn't know if I had this up on my level 4 yet at the time, but you could see at least here for a long while. I'll even take the heat map part off because it looks pretty blotchy and pretty confusing to read. It's more of this. Look at the CVP column. Big level at 180. So it was filling in sideways. It was holding above it. So it needed to hold above it in order for this move to generate. Thankfully, the cards worked out in that manner, and this ended up beginning to build up off of 180. It popped up towards 72,000 share iceberg right now on the ask. And for the meantime, it's holding there. It doesn't. You don't want to see this break that back down to 180, pull back lower. At that point, you'd figure this trade is done. Look at the daily chart too. This thing took a huge hit over the last 3 months, 4 months at that, if not much longer, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, this thing's been all over the place. Looks like we haven't really traded this stock as much. There was another one that kind of sounded similar. PULM, I think. Plum, as Fausto nicknamed it years back, PULM, different company, obviously. But, this one, you could tell kind of similar with the drop off. But look at this back in, 2020 and then 21, a couple of wacky weeks here. So I'm sure that we had traded it back then. Don't really recall it personally, to be honest with you there. But nonetheless, it's only dropped off more since. And with that, it's just a pop and drop stock. Whatever news came out on this trade early this morning led to a great squeeze. Hopefully it continues. But if it pulls back here, then odds are I'd say with the limited time we have left here, game over. So I'll put this on our watch list here. Has good volume on the order book. Has been a great pre-market trade for that reason mainly. Tight spread, good tier size. It's a very tradable stock, but you just don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that move. All right, so now we had the RMED trade, maybe one or two others. Let's just go from top to bottom officially here. Let's just see what else we can kind of scan through, go for. A couple of cheapies here, honestly, in between back and then MCOM. None of these looking really that great. All right, so that leads us back to the RMED trade. Popped, and then it dropped back down. So, this one, hopefully, PLM doesn't turn into. It popped up pretty nicely at first off of $1. Ended up going just about 38 cents higher. Then from there, pulled back. So, on a day like where we really don't have much else out there, it's still up technically 19.5%. There's a chance that this can, maybe push back up once more. I'll put this down for our side list even. I really don't like the drop. So that's the main reason why. Oh, really quickly, how about this? I'm showing this on social right now, on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. I'd said before, of course, with the half day today, we're pre 4th July for Grant, Lawrence, Neil, and all of us here. How about this? Just really quick. See if I can get this up. There we go. Got my webcam up inside live trading room. If you see behind me, I had to doll the office up at least for today, right? I have really crap lighting going on just because it's really bad weather out right now. So my normal window situation is I'm looking like a dungeon here. So I wanted to show a little American flag right there behind me. How about that? All right, so let's keep it going though here. Let's just say limited time. So we want to really be picky and choosy with our watch list for this morning. PRFX, not really looking that great to me. BTM, this was already dudding off before 8 o'clock even hit. So you'd figure this thing wasn't really going to look that great. Maybe at this point now, after a full hour, nearly hour and a half since, perhaps there's a chance that this can make some sort of pop back up. But even now at this point, like right before the open, like just still trending down lower. So I feel like there's better trades to look at. And if there's not better trades, then, hey, so far we got two. We got Rivian and we got PLM. So I don't mind keeping it at that at the end of it all. TSLA, I know Rich put on the pre-market watch list. I was a little under the weather early this morning, but good to go now. And, with that, he had put this on the pre-market watch list. I would have done the same. Really not a whole lot out there prior to 8 o'clock. It was kind of trending down going into the 8 o'clock move. But, hey, we're not going to day trade Tesla, which, TSLL is the Tesla ETF. So, if you're looking to trade at a cheaper alternative and Tesla pops, that could have been a good play. And for that reason, actually, I'm going to put this back on our main list. Hey, if you don't trade Tesla, if you don't trade options on top, then you could look to trade this TSLL because it's going to move virtually the same. This is, I think, double. What is this? 1.5 times volatility. 1.5 times leveraged. All right, so here's Rivian, still teasing that 18 flip of support or into support. XPEV had a chance earlier, but then ended up failing and then pulled back a little bit lower. Since it actually squeezed back up, but I feel at this point now, at the trend that we have, perhaps we'll see $14 as support first before a bounce. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll just shut up and let this thing bounce without me talking about it. This thing just popped all of a sudden. Look at that. Out of nowhere, 9:10 in the morning. Big 50, nearly 50,000 share print plus 22,000 at 1450. It still needs to make a strong break above that. That's some good buying though, at least for the meantime. And when I say buying, because hey, if you're looking for a bullish move, then you'd want to see a break above 1450 and continue. So that would generate an entry. But if it fails to run off of 1450, if not now, then perhaps once the market does open, and if it ends up flipping it back into resistance, then that buying becomes shorting on the ask. And with that, you just don't want to be on the wrong side of a gap fill. So not completely fully sold on the move up just yet. We're not going to hold a pre-market trade going into the open anyway. Normally, I'd be out of any pre-market trade at this point or in the next few minutes at that. But, once the market opens, if this can't break back over 1450, then I'd say potentially you could buy some puts. Let's see what else we got, though, here. Rivian again on our watch list, looking pretty interesting. So we had XPEV, Lee. It's not looking really as like strong. Right now it's like starting to make a tiny bounce. Tesla, I'm gonna put on the proverbial watch list here for right now. But again, TSLL is like the stock / ETF. It's an ETF, but it's the ticker that we'll look to trade if anything. So do that at least. All right, what else we got here to wrap things up? Got a rainy 4th of July here, it looks like, or July 3rd perhaps, but all right, let's hop over to the losers list, seeing if there's anything looking good from that side. Hey, what goes up does come back down. VBIV actually from Friday's trading, if I can go back briefly, this was a really strong move from yesterday after Friday afternoon. I keep saying yesterday as if it was Friday, but so Friday afternoon we ended up seeing this make a strong pop at 130 off of $2. Ended up running up beautifully, as good as you'd want to see any stock look to run. Ended up topping off at 350, so basically a 1.5 move up. And from there, ended up failing to push up higher heading into the close. Point being, what goes up comes back down. What makes the percent gainers list one day makes the percent losers list the next. So with that, right now, just dragging back down. I can't short it, so we're going to pass on this trade. And then really, I mean, hey, not to just say to look as if I'm lazy here, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing, and I mean really nothing that stands out as far as like a familiar name from the loser side, something that I could short. AZN maybe, but I think, is that an ETF? No, AstraZeneca. Okay, get my tickers confused too. So AstraZeneca down big, perhaps a little expensive. I have no need to put this type of stock on the main watch list, just given the spread price. That's all. Mike saying ENSC worth watching. We'll take a look. It's a cheap stock that has ran for us in the past. It's up 17%. Perhaps I didn't look at this just yet. It was really flat just up until it looks like Michael had called it out. So off the last few minutes, back up for us to get our attention. So ENSC, welcome to the party. Not a bad shout from Michael there. All right, let me know if there's anything else looking good from YouTube. Chris saying, surprised you're watching a leveraged ETF today. Well, hey, I'm surprised TSLA is up as much as it is, but it's up off the Tesla news that came out over the weekend. So that's the only one that we're looking at. If anything, we follow ETFs like the SPY and UVXY or others out there as like guides, just that we could use to follow like across the market. If UVXY is cheap enough or SQQQ ever gets cheap enough, then we'll look to day trade it, but not really. Not really our focus. Our focus is more equities at that, though, Chris, see on YouTube. Towards the end of the brief, if you have time, what did your crystal ball say about the BKSY? Is it done for the day? Is that another one that slipped past us earlier? It's not really trading a lot of volume. That's the thing. So as far as done for the day, it's not really trading really any volume just yet. There could be more to come on it. It's not trading like more than usual. Well, maybe it does for pre-market. I don't know if there's any news out on this trade there, Chris. If there is, then I do play ignorant to the news quite often, Fausto and myself, when we conduct these meetings. Tagging in for Fausto today. He's actually just taking some time off with family, just for family / 4th of July. So well earned, well deserved. And with that, he would say the same thing where, hey, it's up 4%. It's trading 12,000 shares. There's a chance that this can make some sort of move better once the market opens. If there's news on top of it, then more eyes will look to catch on top of this trade. But if there was news out on this stock, and if it was respectable news, I feel like it would be trading more than the 12,000. Even if this is more than what this stock normally trades day to day, I would just say if there's news out on it, it would be trading probably like a few hundred thousand, a couple 100,000 at this point. Like right now at 9:15, not every good stock moves at 7 o'clock in the morning. It could move coming up right here if it had some delayed reaction off the news, but it could be a side list stock. I'll write it down, keep it on our side list here at least. Appreciate that, Chris. Happy 4th, and we'll catch you back on Wednesday, if not next week, from YouTube right there. Appreciate you, Chris. And hey, for Chris and all of us on YouTube or Facebook Live or any of our social streams right now, if you see the QR code on the top left of the stream right there, you could actually use your camera, use your phone, scan that right there to join our live trading room. Otherwise, if you don't know how to do that, if you're not as fancy with the technology, no sweat, go right down to the link on the green banner below. Just type that in on your address bar on your browser. Take you right to a trial page to our live trading room. You don't need to sign up today to begin today. You could sign up to begin on Wednesday. If not, perhaps like Chris will on Monday of this upcoming week. You could always call our office, speak to one of our education advisors. We're here up until 1 o'clock today for the half day. All right, folks. But hey, with that in mind, any questions for all of us on social, feel free to shoot me over a quick email just beforehand or throughout the day off, especially if you are not in the US, if you're not partying with us. Well, hey, feel free to shoot me over an email, any questions or trades that you want to go over. I'll check back in on Tuesday night, then on Wednesday morning, just to make sure I go through them all. But otherwise, though, folks, best of luck trading going into the market open. We'll be back on coming up, folks, just at the opening bell for Sam, Michael, Grant, Leda, Kathleen, Lawrence, Neil, etc. going into the market open. Talk to you all soon.